Hello, projectors. Welcome back to part two of our talk with Sarah and Charlie. And as we were leaving from part one, we were saying that we're excited. We've got back from our honeymoon. We've had a big few months and we're landing back in. There was a lot of inspiration coming through for projectors as we've gone on our journeys. And some of these things have been part of our lives for many, many years. But we saw the access point and the importance for projectors to really embody these and to understand them. And these are a few areas that we're excited to share with you moving forward throughout this year into next year and blending it with being a projector. So Sarah, if you want to take it from here.
I'm taking it from here.
If you want to, and just say the first one or...
Well, the first one was more along the lines of what we ended on was astrology and your passion with what's been coming through with you and understanding the outer planets and the impact of, in addition to the human design chart, weaving specifically in the specifics of your astrology chart to really understand your soul's journey. So if you want to share a bit about what's come through and this passion and how it's relevant to the projector movement, I think that would be a beautiful way to start.
Well, as we both know, with projectors having an absorbing aura and an open sacral center, the cosmos, that receptivity we get really impacted by, or we can really feel, if you're a projector woman, feeling the monthly cycle that you go through from the moon, if you go through certain transits with certain planets, projectors naturally, positively and negatively, and they just get to experience these transits at a deeper level energetically because we're receptive.
Really quick, because I've had in many of the trainings and groups, a lot of projectors ask this specific question. So I wanted to isolate that in that, are we impacted because we have an open sacral and have that sensitivity? Do the astrological transits that are happening in lifetime as well as in our personal charts affect us deeper? And yeah, we don't have the scientific evidence to say yes, but it's pretty evident. And from our own personal lives and those we've worked with, that we are more sensitive to the energies of the transits.
I have 7 open centers. Sarah, you have 5 open centers. Your older sister has 0 open centers. So someone like that going through a transit, let's say with her emotions, with her moon and Pluto, which breaks down your emotions, it's often a 2-year transit. Sometime in your life, people might go through this. If your sister went through this, there would be a very different expression of what you would feel going through this as a much more open, receptive projector being. So knowing these timings is very valuable. Also knowing about your birth chart. And ultimately, the number one thing to know is you're fundamentally a projector, which gives you a huge access point into, wow, how am I actually supposed to live? And then blending that in with other planetary positions as well as transits, it gives you a real access point.
Yeah, I think what you just said speaks to a lot of what Projector Movement has been guiding and sharing with people about our open sacral and projectors having this extra wide access point to source, to the universe, to God, which would then create a portal of more astrological energy to come in through us as well. So, and it's beautiful that, you brought up my older sister who's a manifesting generator, 9 closed centers. Right now, Charlie will talk more about the impact of Pluto throughout, the iteration of projector movement and moving forward. But she's going through Pluto on her ascendant right now, conjunct her ascendant. And I know, Charlie, you and I have had our fair shares of Pluto conjuncting various planets. And the way that she's existing with that transit versus how we've existed with those transits looks very different. And so back to your inspiration with bringing in this astrological knowledge, that it's very helpful to know, what is heavily impacting our world and what is the lesson that life is wanting to teach us through these astrological transits.
Yeah, by knowing it, it's almost like, those elevators in the airport where you stand on and they're already moving forward. It gives you that like double pace expedite of like, oh yeah, got it. This is the lesson that's trying to come through. I got there 50% from my awareness. I could feel that, but like I also see it in the chart. Like this is the lesson. And then you bring it fully into your conscious awareness, and it's important.
And I tend to try to remove myself from a victim mentality, but I will say there have been gratifying moments when life has been really giving me an opportunity for transformation in a way that I might push back on, to see that, oh, I'm going through this transit that's actually for my greatest transformation, that could look like, holy shit, what is actually going on? Or, there's a validation that it's not just me, that life is wanting this to be going on. So a little bit of an astrological stamp.
Yes. So in 2013, I discovered human design in Bali, on the north. And about a week later, I had my first astrological reading with a woman called Paula. And that was in person in Ubud in Bali. And I know, Sarah, you've had multiple readings with her. And I've had one or two every year probably over the last 10 years. And there's also another astrologer, Hunter, who we've worked with as well. And it's interesting that human design and astrology both came into my world within a week of each other. And both are profound. And a big access point, as I've said, is like when I discovered I was a projector. And that's what came through with the projector movement, is focusing on projectors, because we're here to be the future guides of the world. We do bring a completely different essence. The world isn't built for us. Yet if we can align ourselves to our ultimate truth, our design, our uniqueness, and understand the flow that we're going through at times throughout our life, we can really start to relax back into more of our beingness. And this creates a more magnetic aura. It creates a lot more draw, a lot more magnetism, a lot more invitations. And when invitations come and we listen to our authority as projectors, success follows. And then we're here to guide those around us. Some of us will guide our family members if invited. Some will guide our friends. Some will guide countries. Some will guide, depending on what you're here to do. But projectors do have a special mission at this time, and a challenging one. But once we start to fall into place and rest back into more of our beingness, it can be really magical as well.
Yeah, and I will say in an empowering way that one of my elders said that God or the universe gives the most challenging paths to the most capable and brightest students. So projectors, you are that, and to know that as well.
Yeah, one quick thing I just want to add about projectors, and this is an interesting thing, is like this world is a material world. We come from nothingness, the Big Bang, or it's come out of infinite intelligence, infinite space. The yin and the yang have like danced. And projectors, with the open sacral, with the absorb, we have a natural affinity and natural connection to the nothingness, to the beingness. That's why we often see projectors more spiritual in some capacity, or more drawn or desiring some unique path or access point or intuition or whatever it is. Because we do actually have this, like we come from nothingness and we've got a deeper access point, whereas generators, they have the sacral. That's the center of this planet. They're here to get energy from the material world so they can build things in the material world. Projectors, we feel, are here to remember that we're not here to actually get stuck here. We're not here to get bogged down in this material world. We are in this world, but we're not of it.
Mm-hmm.
And when we start to understand this, it's quite a magical journey for a projector, because the power that can come through and the embodiness of like understanding we're fundamentally different, and we're here to guide the world back to truth, back to spirit. And we have that access point, but we get really bogged down and we get lost when we come here. So that's the deconditioning process that we need to unwind.
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah, everything you're saying, it's so beautiful, because we have been in a generating world which has reduced this perspective that all that is tangible reality, and we have ventured away from also connecting to the life beyond the veil, or in indigenous cultures they can call it the invisible world, or the dream wave, or the energetics that are also present. We've been really taught out of that, both. And that we have an opportunity as projectors with the open sacral, receiving more from that world, really being more connected to the energetics and the energies of life. It's a beautiful gift to be a projector right now, and to be able to be a bridge for humanity to come back into wholeness with spirituality, with connecting to life beyond the tangible material plane. And I'll also just mention, I'm going to botch the physical qualities or the physics of this, but I literally did a meditation yesterday about connecting to the universe, in which the instructor was sharing the same materials that make up the stars are what makes us up. I don't know the elements. I'm not remembering them right now, but to just emphasize the importance of actually understanding what elements are making us up from that blueprint when we come in is why we're going to be incorporating that into the projector movement mystery school, if you will.
Beautiful. In human design, maybe those particles are known as neutrinos, but she probably
uses like hydrogen and like on that
okay
that chart. The element
probably hydrogen is. I think this reality is more based on maybe oxygen, which breaks things down, but hydrogen has a much longer energetic capacity.
Yes.
And one of our friends is actually looking to bring hydrogen parts into electric cars or something like this. So bringing that element of hydrogen in is a profound element. And I think that probably is, I used to have a hydrogen water bottle that I used to infuse hydrogen into my water. Anti-aging benefits. I'm actually 75.
Oh God.
I've kept myself young with the hydrogen.
An elder.
No.
So
yes, that's just very interesting in many ways. And being a projector, we do have this unique mission at this time.
Yeah.
Sarah, this has been a big part of your journey. It's been a part of my journey as well. I majored in psychology, but for you, it's been a big, big part of your journey. Holistic psychology, understanding developmentally how people, come into this world, relationally, trauma, and these things. And then, being a projector and being like a fish out of water, because the world wasn't built for us. Not at all. Like the other types can get by, even reflectors, but projectors, we're like a new species. So all of these things really impact us at a pretty deep and fundamental level. And unless you had potentially projector parents who had done their deconditioning 50 years ago, which is very highly unlikely, and they really knew you and attuned to you, there might be, some stuff there. So how does psychology for you, how do you bring that into your world personally? And then how does that blend into being a projector as well, holistic psychology.
Yeah, thank you for that. So, yeah, my soul's journey has been really kind of divided into two paths, which is the human world and the spirit world, and at times getting lost maybe too far in one, and then coming back to realize we need to exist in both as projectors. And working with so many projectors in more of a psychological holding, supportive, holistic counseling. Part of our mission is to decondition. What does that mean? It means to unlearn all of the things that life taught us to be that are actually out of alignment for the projector soul, for the projector. For a projector to thrive, we have to do a lot of unlearning, and currently really been fascinated and diving deep into Gabor Mate's book on The Myth of Normal, which talks a lot about attachment wounds and trauma and how that plays out over time, as well as a lot of works in somatic therapy, nervous system reprogramming, which I find those two areas are so important for projectors to understand and learn and come into a greater relationship with their uniqueness. So first, this sounds like the bearer of bad news, and I actually want to do an entire podcast on this, but the trauma of being a projector is that we weren't securely attached to as children. And in a lot of the work being brought out right now in the world of psychology, we are looking at how attachment wounds really dictate our ability to be in healthy relationships with self and others, our ability to set boundaries, our ability to choose ourselves and take care of ourselves. And whether or not you had incredibly loving parents or the opposite of that, as Charlie was mentioning, unless you had the rare percentage of a parent that knew how to child rear a projector, your needs weren't talked to you or met to you. You weren't attuned to by your parents to meet your unique needs of less stimulation, more play, more nature. You weren't most likely encouraged to be sensitive. You were oftentimes masking or trying to fit into the generator world through going to certain colleges or getting certain jobs or being in certain relationships, trying to do I call it the American dream, realizing there's people from all over the world, but trying to fit into a square peg when you were a round hole. And so understanding how the base of our existence as young projector children, we're needing to unpack that to really come into alignment and learn the skill sets of setting boundaries, of saying no, of carving out time to be alone. And that's part of the journey here that I want to bring to the projector movement, is guiding people back to healing, which is a beautiful thing I want to share. Is regardless of your attachment wounds, or regardless of the Gabor Mate calls it the little t trauma, of not having a securely attached parent, we can move and become securely attached within ourselves. It is not a death sentence that because you didn't receive it, you're never going to have the benefit of it. But it does require work. And then pairing that along with nervous system training, learning, we know that the brain is neuroplastic, meaning we can change patterns in our brain. We can change patterns in our nervous system. And oftentimes trying to, again, exist, just going to the grocery store, going to the movies, we're inundated with so much stimuli that our nervous systems can be overrun. We can fall into burnout and these sorts of things. And so my desire is to also support projectors to come into a more easeful balance within their physical body as well.
There we go.
Boom, boom, boom.
Thank you, Sarah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, super important what you mentioned about developmental and how we're so unique, and those initial relationships and bonding. And it's interesting with my Scorpio moon and 7 open centers, I've always been very much drawn to spaces that have like authentic relating. So containers that are set up for people to feel safe and held and to be able to express and be fully received in their expression. And what I've experienced, this was probably in 2015, I did a retreat. I participated in a retreat in Bali, and it was around authentic relating. And I'd done many different healing modalities up until then, different ceremonies, Vipassana multiple times, and just traveled and lived in different countries. And I remember this 3-day retreat that was authentic relating, like blew my mind because of what the transformation that was happening, because of what was being exposed with this container between people's developmental trauma and what was coming up to the surface to be healed, and what needs people were asking for and what was actually being given to the younger aspects of themselves. And me as a projector and being so open and sensitive, I just remember some of those spaces over the time being so nourishing and so repairing for these deep, vulnerable aspects within me that weren't fully met as a child, because the world wasn't set up back then to meet them. And that's, somewhat unfortunate, but that's the journey that I signed up for, and most projectors signed up for. So I know that this attunement piece and this piece that projectors really want to be seen and felt and heard, and to feel safe in that, and to feel the beingness and the presence. And like, even as I'm talking, I'm not like, there's a little tinge of emotion of like, that those younger aspects of ourselves all want to be held in some capacity in a safe way. And you talking about that in terms of the framework of holistic psychology and developmentally and these things, it's such, I've as a 3/5, I know experientially that it's so important for us to receive connection and attunement in a safe way, as projectors. So we have that, we can connect back to that beingness and that safety and that space and that oneness, rather than living a life just with so much pace and stimulus. And projectors will amplify that even more, and we'll just get completely off center and we'll lose ourselves, which is a painful experience.
Yeah. And why, again, I feel so inspired to bring this forward. As oftentimes projectors, we know deep within ourselves, we have so much to give. There's something magical within us. We have these gifts. And yet if the vessel holding the gift is ridden with dormant trauma or wounds, then the energetics of our aura ripple out those parts of ourselves. And so with all of this, and I will speak, at the Projector Movement, I am grateful to be a guide, and I'm also a student for life on this. I'm continuously getting deeper in touch with my own levels of trauma and nervous system, and it's a lifelong journey, this process. But I know at times I've had such spiritual awakenings and openings, and yet my human wasn't held grounded in spaciousness. And because our aura is so penetrative, that when we're not grounded, or we are holding ourselves in fear vibrations, or we haven't tended to our own ability to securely attach first and foremost for ourselves, the gifts can't come through. You might get, a couple invitations there, but the way that the universe really wants to work through us and give to us can only come through a vessel that's grounded, and in this world, and has done that work to repair. And it's not to repair to perfection, but that is the goal, that we're looking to reparent ourselves and be the parent that we didn't have, and learn what that looks like, because a lot of us don't even know what was it that I missed out on. So yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing, Sarah.
Yeah.
Another area that, we've been also involved with for many years, and you've been on a deep journey personally as well, for many years. And this is more connected to, I'll say roughly what I feel it's connected to, but then I'm sure you wanna add and say some things. But this element that it's so important for projectors to connect to the earth, but also ritual and in a way ceremony in some capacity, to connect to something outside of ourselves. And this is what has been around for thousands and thousands and thousands of years in all cultures. And it's sort of been ripped out of like the white Western culture over the last hundreds of years, unfortunately. But it's the idea of earth-based ritual and earth-based traditions and connecting at a deep level to these aspects. So we'd love to hear what you have to say about this area and how this blends into being a projector as well.
Yeah. So my journey, before even learning about being a projector in human design, was my path took me into deeply studying different indigenous traditions, earth rituals, connecting back to the land and to the earth. And projectors, part of our design is to be in connection to the earth, the rhythms, the cycles, to be connected to that invisible world. And I have found so much validation and so much of my true nature coming out, and power and alignment, by connection with nature and by studying the ways in which we all came from at one point in connection with the land. And I feel that moving forward, our culture is yearning to be reconnected not only to the land and to the Mother Earth, but to Great Spirit and to the universe, to God, whichever word you use. And there's a way when you begin to connect back with the land, to be in nature, that you can see God in the birds. You can see the universe talking to you through synchronicities. And you use the word ceremony, and I want to really invite this new perspective that really life is a ceremony, that with intention, with the harnessing of understanding your mind and your thoughts, with setting intentions in the day, when utilizing and working with the land, working with the universe, working with all of what we are a part of and ultimately are. We aren't separate from the environment we're in, although unfortunately we're living in a culture where we aren't spending as much time outside. We're scrolling on our phones. We're utilizing things that actively disconnect us from this connection. And we talked a lot about, I think it was the beginning of this call, maybe it was part one, how projectors, we have this antenna to receive such information. And I have found that when I've intentionally worked with the earth in ritual and prayer, what I receive is, I know it's not my mind. I know that something's coming through me, and I want to, in a humble way, and with humility, begin to weave in how we can do things to reconnect us to where we come from, our original mother. Truthfully, our mother is not our parents. That was the vessel that we came in through the human body, but Mother Earth, Father Sky. And I find that begins to fill a void that a lot of us have, because we weren't really, like you said, especially in the white cultures, we really were taught out of this spiritual connection. And we've been, maybe this is philosophical here, but I feel like we've all been trying to fill that vacancy with the material, with the things, with a car, with a relationship, with something. And when we begin to realize how on purpose our life is and how connected and magical we actually are. And projectors, I truthfully believe that we have access to more magic. That's probably a loaded thing to say, but we have a different access point. And when you begin to harness that, when you begin to work with your dreams, when you begin to work with intention, you begin to really get validation for this unique gift that you were given.
Yes. Yes, the term more magic, maybe.
I know, probably not the right word, but you have a greater access point to see beyond the veil.
Yeah, totally.
Magic.
Magic. Magic. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, Sarah. Yeah, there's a lot there that we'll be diving into and unraveling and sharing throughout this year and into next year and beyond. And yeah, if you're a projector, then this is a special time to be alive. And we hope to walk side by side with you on this journey as we unfold our unique truth and magic and connection to something far greater than ourselves, so that we can hear this and then bring this into the world.
Yeah, I'll end with this. A friend of mine just sent me a video of a African shaman who's speaking to the healers of the world. And he leads with, and I say this because oftentimes, not all projectors, but many projectors identify with being a healer, a therapist, a coach, guide, sort of thing, guide of the world, which we all are. And the principle was that if you are a true healer, then you are also entrusted with healing the earth, to be in full power of your healing abilities, that is something to walk side by side with, and not taking that and putting that on projectors, but literally our design is to be out in the earth, to come back outside and connect and align. And so I just offer that as also why there's inspiration to kind of bring us back into connection to the land and to nature, is that we are possibly entrusted with also helping keep this planet in good standing and harmony.
Interesting, very interesting. I don't know if people know, but the projector movement, this just came to me then, the projector movement actually plants trees. And I think the projector movement has planted about 70,000 trees around the world. So for people who have joined us in some capacity, we do like to give back, and we've given back to the earth by planting trees.
Beautiful.
Okay, well, I think that is about it.
Yeah.
That we want to share.
We're excited. There's so much goodness and magic. I'm using that word so much, but
Sarah, you're magic. You're really magic.
Well, that's what I feel like sometimes walking, not me, but life, with kind of the stuff that happens. But, you know, we are excited to weave out in due time more education surrounding astrology, transits, deconditioning through holistic psychology, and also connecting us back to the earth with practice and honing in on our ability to see beyond the veil.
Sounds like one great mystery.
Mystery.
Okay, everyone. Many blessings to you. Thank you, Sarah, and we'll be seeing you shortly. Have a beautiful day or night wherever you are. Bye for now.
Bye.